Okay, in this video, we are going to look at the collar roundness auto check, and I'm going to show you how to check that. Also, just to talk about what it means. So, collar roundness simply means how round is your collar. Okay, it's pretty straightforward, but depending on the processes that you use, you know, whether you're using shrink wrap or you're just using a straight Boolean operation to cut away from the inside of the shoe, sometimes it can create sharp edges on your collar, and we want to avoid this for comfort reasons. Okay, so we want to make sure that this region of the shoe is very round and very soft, so that when you're wearing the shoe, it's not going to create abrasions against your foot. Okay, so a simple way to check this in Blender is if we go to edit mode here and look at the mesh of our collar, we can see here it's looking pretty round visually, but the way we can check this is we're going to go to the select drop down, and then I'm going to hit sharp edges. I've already set this value down here to 22.5 degrees. It may default to, I think, something like 50 degrees. I can't remember, but Zellerfeld checks a sharpness of 22.5 degrees. And what this will do is highlight any parts of the collar that are violating this degree threshold. So you can see here, if we zoom in, we have a few edges here that are violating this threshold here. Okay, so what I would say is it's important to do this check for your collar, fix these little vertices, and then I would split your collar again from your shoe, because the once you adjust these vertices for the sharpness, it's going to change the polygons matching from your collar to your shoe base form, and actually the collar checks will not pass. Okay, so even though the roundness is good, the collar check will not pass because the polygons don't fully match polygon for polygon. Okay, so we'll actually have to go back and cut off a new collar and make a new collar piece after we make these changes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in here, and I'm going to have a look. I can tell that this vertice right here is getting a little too close, so I'm just going to hit G and just move it over. And what we'll do then is just exit that mode there just for a second, and you can see we're getting a little bit of a revealing of the shoe underneath. That's okay. I'm going to check the sharp edges again, and you can see that that area is no longer highlighted. Here, I'll just deselect it. So I'll go back to select sharp edges. You can see it's no longer highlighting this area as a sharp region, okay? Because we just simply had a vertex here that was too close. Another thing you could do to save yourself some time, so if we just undo a few times here, what we could do is we could just take this vertex and merge it with these other vertices and do the same thing on the other shoe as well, and we won't have to create a new collar piece, okay? Because the importance, again, for collar checks passing is that the polygons of the collar and the polygons of the underlying base shoe mesh actually match each other, okay? So let's do that, and I'll take you through that process. So I just want to merge this vertex here with, say, this vertex, okay? So I'm going to select this one first, this one second. I'm going to hit M, and then I'm going to select at last, which means I'm just going to merge the last vertex that I selected, and it will merge them there. And let's just double check and make sure that that fixed it for that spot. Select sharp edges, and there we go. We don't have a highlight here. So we have just these other spots here. There's very few of them, so I'm very comfortable just doing this manually, and we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to select this one here, then that one, M at last, okay, and let's do the check again. Select sharp edges. Let's go to this area here, and I can see that we've got some double edges going on here. I think I'm going to merge this vertex here with this one. I'm going to hit M at last, and let's just Select the sharp edges once again. Okay. Now, important thing to remember is you might, if there's too many of these to do by hand, you might have to remember which vertices you merged with which. So if that's hard for you to do, then it might be easier just to go ahead and split off a new collar mesh again anyway. The key thing is making sure you remember that these vertices that you are changing on the collar match the vertices on the shoe base mesh as well. Okay, I'm going to select these M at last, and then I'm going to select sharp edges again. Here we go. Go to this area here. And I can try and do this in a way that I remember whichever vertices are closer, I'll just do those. And maybe that'll be a good guide for me when I go back and do this. Okay, so we're systematically going through and removing all these. I'm going to go to View, Frame Selected. I have several things selected here, so let's go to Sharp Edges again, and then View, Frame Selected. So this will get me a little closer. Okay. All right, I'm just going to select this one and go to the closest one. At last. Mark edges. And that looks to be just about all of them. I don't see any other edges that are highlighted. So I think we got them all. Looking pretty good. So I'm going to go out of edit mode for that. I'm going to hide that object, and I'm going to look at my shoe base form now. I'm going to go to edit mode here, and then I'm again going to go to select sharp edges, and this is going to highlight basically the same areas here. Now I'm keeping my my mesh form here turned on so that I can kind of see which parts I need to ignore. See all of this in the tread, I can ignore all that. It doesn't matter, that's okay. It's really this collar region that I need to be paying attention to. So let's go here again. I remember that I just merged it to the closest vertices, so merge at last. Okay, and then I'm just going to select sharp edges once again. Okay, just going to merge these together. Merge at last. Look at these here. At last. I think that was the right one that I did. Again, as I mentioned before, if this is too hard to remember which ones that you're merging together, then I would just recommend splitting off that new collar mesh again. Here we go. I think I merged those there. M at last. I'm going to see these ones here. M at last. Sharp edges. Let's see here. This looks to be right on the edge. And I don't believe this was detected on the collar, that part, so we'll just leave that alone. Same for these other areas here. And just to continue on with our collar roundness here, I'm going to just work on the shoe base form here. So before we were working on getting rid of some of the sharp edges here. Okay, and you can see that we look pretty much like we're in the clear for the collar, but because we changed some of that base geometry, I'm just not quite confident that it's going to match vertice for vertice. So to save us some headache, I'm just going to go to the shoe base form here, and I'm going to also hide the mesh here, and I'm going to hide that. And then I'm going to go here into edit mode, and I'm just going to again select sharp edges, and I'm just going to focus on the areas that are around the collar. So even though we have these parts that are right on that seam for the collar, let's see if we can go ahead and fix these. So right now we've got two vertices right on top of each other. I'm going to take this one, I'm going to select the second one, and merge at last. And again, let's check the sharp edges. Looks like we removed that one. We probably have some overlapping ones here too. Select both of those, merge at last. And then let's check again. It's looking good. Looks like we have another one here along the along this section here. So I'm just going to select that one vertice, view frame selected, and just zoom in a little bit. And then I'm just going to select sharp edges once again. So I can see here that we've got likely two vertices on top of each other. I'm just going to merge at last. And then let's see if that triggers it. Nope, we're good. So we're just kind of going through and focusing on these different sections that are around the collar, making sure that we're getting rid of some of these problem areas here. Okay, so we got one there, merge at last, select sharp edges. Okay, so it looks like we're good there. Again, we don't have to worry about these areas that are on other parts of the shoe. We're really just focused on the collar areas here. So I'm just going to grab that vertice. Okay, merge those two together. Looking good. Let's just do another check. Look around the whole collar area. We're looking pretty clean. So that's great. So now what I would do is, now that I've adjusted that base geometry of the shoe there, I'm going to bring back my collar, and we're going to have a little bit of a difference of the geometry. It's kind of hard to see at this level, but what I would then do at this point is bring back my mesh here, and in the Zellerfeld plugin here, I'm just going to extract some new surfaces. So I've already got them selected because I already extracted them. And you can go and watch that video on the collar video on how to use this, but I'm just gonna remove these again and go through it. So I'm just gonna pick my shoe base mesh here, collar, and I'm just picking it from the outliner here, and my surface mesh here. And then I'm just going to hide those parts and pieces. I'm going to hide everything, and I'm going to hit extract. And then what I should get is an extraction of some new surfaces that match vertice for vertice on my shoe, which is exactly what I have here. You can see that my collar is looking pretty good, pretty smooth along the edges. And we are given a new collar and a new mesh here. And then we have our shoe surface. And what I'm going to do to just double check this is I'm going to turn that off. I'm just going to select my collar. Let's go to edit mode here. And then let's just double check for sharp edges. And we look like we're in the clear here. So it's a little bit going into the details, but this is a great way to show you how to just make sure that you're, not only do you have no sharp edges on your collar region, but but after you make those changes and those edits, I would do it to the shoe base form so that when you create that new collar, you have you have a matching mesh. Now, what you could do is you could just check for the sharp edges before you even split off your collar and surface meshes, and make sure that you clean up those regions. Then when you go and split them, you won't have to go back and do this again. So hope this was helpful. Thank you very much.